sleeves, show his scars, and say these wounds. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgotten. For he today who sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Got a question for you. Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
How are you? I'm Andy. We're back again with another episode. So the draft has concluded, and I don't think to anyone's surprise, round one, pick number 10, J.J. McCarthy. He goes to the Vikings. And back in the fall, when I was on some different shows, I said the Vikings, they were my dream landing spot for J.J. He's got the talent to start day one, but I kind of want to see him kind of sit to begin the season, do what Darnold does best, and then JJ comes in the middle of the season, let him get his feet wet, kind of let him get up to speed with the game. And that's what I would like to see with JJ. I do love this landing spot. I love the weapons around him. You have Aaron Jones at the running back position, Justin Jefferson. You also had Jordan Addison on the other side for the receivers. And then, you also have Hawkinson for tight end recovering. So I think JJ has all the weapons that he needs to be a hit in the NFL. And I think he's going to do great for the Minnesota Vikings. We then go to round two, pick number 49, defensive tackle Chris Jenkins Jr. goes to the Bengals, and I really like this landing spot. He's going to do well. He's going to plug up the middle. He's going to cause some chaos. I do like that move. I think he'll be a player that we'll be reckoning with, for the AFC. And then very next pick number 50, Mikey Sanderstill goes to the Commanders. I like the spot. I think he'll start day one as the nickel corner. I have no doubts about him being really good in the NFL. I think these three guys, in the first two rounds, I think these are guys that you'll hear from on Sunday. They'll make some noise, and then we go to round three, pick number 69, Junior Colson goes to the Chargers. And look, that defense cannot get any worse. So with Colson there, he should earn some snaps early. He could very well be a playmaker for that defense. Pick number 83 is Blake Corum, goes to the Rams. It's an interesting spot. Kyron Williams, he's been hurt. He's had a history injury, and I kind of see maybe a 60-40 share with the splits between the two backs. I think Kyron Williams, I don't think he'll get that major workload that he has been getting. His injuries, they've taken its toll for the Rams. Whenever he's been out, they've literally had to go into the streets and sign the walking carcass of Darrell Henderson. So with Blake Corum being there, I think he should take some workload off him. And if Kyron gets hurt, Blake Corum may never give that job up. And then the very next pick at pick 84 is Roman Wilson. He goes to the Steelers, and the Steelers are in need of a twitchy slot receiver that can win at all three phases in the receiving game. And Wilson does just that. I would not be surprised if he overtakes George Pickens as the leading target earner by the end of year two. And then we go with the very next pick number 85, guard Zach Zinter goes to the Browns. I think he can probably compete for a starting job there. It will be interesting to see how the offensive line shakes up for the Browns. They do have a lot of cap tied to Deshaun Watson. Then we go into the fourth round, pick 121, tight end AJ Barner goes to the Seahawks. Then we kind of had a little bit of a lull. We had to wait until round 5, pick 172 for guard Trevor Keegan going to the Eagles. That's an interesting spot. He can earn a role there really early. So he's a player to watch. I do like that spot for him. And then we had to wait to pretty much the very end of the draft. Round 7, Pick 240, linebacker. Michael Barrett goes to the Panthers. Pick 249, offensive tackle. Ladarius Henderson goes to the Texans. Pick 252, Jalen Harrell goes to the Titans. I kind of like that move. I think Harrell's got juice, and I think he'll be a good rotational depth piece for the Titans. And then pick 253, wide receiver Cornelius Johnson for the Chargers. He is someone that has all the tools, never quite put it together at Michigan. He could be that Nico Collins type where he finds that success later on in the NFL. We then have some undrafted free agents signed. Offensive lineman Carson Barnhart goes to the Chargers. Offensive lineman Drake Nugent goes to the Niners. Defensive lineman Braden McGregor goes to the Jets. Cornerback Josh Wallace goes to the Rams. And we can't forget about a kicker. James Turner goes to the Lions. So that is the NFL draft, and that was a big hit. 13 guys selected in the NFL draft, the most in Michigan history. Kind of puts the cherry on top of the fantastic 2024 season that Michigan had. And everyone kind of got to see on the national stage of the talent that they had on this roster as they got selected into the NFL draft. Now let's talk about some recruiting. From the spring game, they had 3 commits that were committed, and they gained another one, defensive lineman Nate Marshall. He is the 40th ranked recruit in the composites nationwide, the 4th ranked defensive tackle. He committed after the spring game, so now they are up to 4. There are another handful of players that have kind of leaned their way to Michigan. A lot of them are making another official visit in a couple of months in June. So we'll have to see how many of them commit. But trending upwards is Marquise Davis, and he is someone that is interesting to watch. He is the 11th ranked running back in the composites. He has an official visit set June 6th and June 7th. He is someone that Tony Alford has been kind of really targeting. It started when he was at Ohio State. He was recruiting him to be at Ohio State. Now at Michigan, he still kept that relationship. And right now, all signs point to him being a Michigan Wolverine. He is an 11th ranked running back in the composites. He would definitely bring some juice to that room next year. Now let's go to the portal. Now the portal officially closes, I believe, today or tomorrow. But in the portal, we saw cornerback DJ Waller. He entered his name into the portal. He lands at Kentucky. You don't leave Michigan for Kentucky. You just don't. If you had a chance to get meaningful snaps, you stay at Michigan. So this really points to the fact that Jair Hill won the job and DJ Waller just didn't want to stick around. We did see true freshman linebacker Jeremiah Beasley entering the portal. And this one's a little bit of a shocker. And I say that because for a couple of reasons. The coaching staff talked him up all spring. He was an early enrollee. He did play in the spring game. But if he was expecting to play year one, he clearly doesn't know the history and the tradition at Michigan. So that to me is kind of a head scratcher. Michigan does have 3 really good linebackers. So if he was hoping to be that third linebacker and get some playing time, he obviously saw the writing on the wall that he was just going to be a rotational depth piece, and he decided to go elsewhere. We also saw offensive lineman Amari Herring. He entered the portal. He wasn't going to be a starter. He was more of that depth piece. He was more of the backup / third string. So he was more towards the bottom of the rotation. Not a drastic loss, but whenever you lose depth at that position, it is a concern. We also saw linebacker Samaj Bridgman enter the portal. He was just a rotation depth piece, another linebacker. We're kind of seeing that trend. Michigan has 3 strong linebackers, and they also have another freshman that they brought in who appears to be that 4th linebacker. These 2 were behind in the depth chart. They didn't want to stick around, so they entered the portal. And then wide receiver Christian Dixon entered the portal, but not While everyone's leaving, we do have a player coming in. That is kicker Dominic Zavada. I know it's a kicker, but he's coming in. If you saw the spring game, kicking was not the best part of the game. So he comes in from Arkansas State. He did pretty well. I am interested to see, if he continues to be that kicker that Michigan brings in pretty much every year when they need one, and they kind of enhance their portfolio, and then they go into the NFL. Now let's talk about Jair Hill, and I kind of want to focus on him today. Now, he is 6'2", 181 pounds. He is a four-star in the composites. He was a top in his class, number 2 ranked prospect in the state of Illinois. Now, in high school, Hill was a three-phase player. He played wide receiver, played cornerback. He was also a factor in the return game. He has 16 touchdowns on offense with 9 interceptions. He was someone that was really effective. Was everywhere. He would track the ball down off the very last second. He was deciding between Michigan, Illinois, Kentucky, and Purdue. At the end of the day, Michigan won because Sharon Moore came in and closed him as a recruit. Now, as an athlete, I'm very excited about Hill. Now, he has a verified 10.87 in the 100-meter dash, a 21 point. As a freshman last year, we saw that Michigan, they treated him as a priority. He had 8 tackles, but he only played in 4 games. They wanted to get his feet wet, but they didn't want to burn that red shirt because they knew all along he was the guy that they wanted opposite of Will Johnson. Now, he got a feel for the speed of the game, and I do like that for last year. He came into this spring, did very well, was in that competition with DJ Waller, and Michigan didn't treat DJ Waller that way last year. He played in 9 games. They didn't care about preserving his red shirt. Whenever Michigan was up big and they needed to put their reserve in, DJ Waller came in and played. So you give to have him stay on and try to milk out the competition as long as they could. But once we saw the spring game and once we saw DJ Waller and then we saw Jair Hill, it was night and day. Jair Hill was making plays left and right. He is a willing tackler. He will get into the box, get physical. He is someone that will use his length as a corner, and you like that because of that good wingspan and with that track speed. He's also a very good instincts as a corner. If a receiver kind of gets away from him and kind of beats him early, he's got enough tools in the bag to kind of catch up and break up a play. So I see that with Hill. I didn't see that with Waller. Waller was more of that physical press coverage corner that you want to see if you're more of a conservative defense, but with Wink Martindale, he's going to be blitzing left and right. They're going to have unique packages on the secondary, what they have to do with their coverages. So with Hill, with his length, with his speed, just everything that he brings together, he was always going to be the guy. And he processes the game very fast. And I really like that about him. Now, like I said earlier, he is a willing tackler. He has that short area burst to recover quickly. And I love that background with him as a receiver. It comes through when he plays defense. He'll track the ball, break up the passes. It's just everything you want in the opposite corner. Now, we saw in the spring game with Jair Hill, he made that touchdown. And he was involved throughout the entire game. So I like that about him. And I like that he's our cornerback too. Now, what should we expect for the upcoming season? He's going to, that's just the fact. So we know Jair Hill, he's going to have some growing pains. We know that. And I think you stick with that. You will take some of the bad with the high upside that he brings. And I think with him, he's going to learn a lot. He's going to learn early. The coaching staff is there. They're going to coach him up. They're going to teach him. And I really love it. And then once you have Will Johnson go on to the NFL at the end of this coming season for the 2025 draft, Jair Hill steps into that cornerback one spot. So I really do like how everything is set up. It's a very young secondary, but with Hill getting the experience now with a good defense, it's going to pay off next year in the years beyond that. Now, going to be some stress on the safeties that right now is kind of lacking, because if you're asking the safeties to do multiple things back there and they're not experienced and they're not the greatest, that might be some issues. But if you do some man coverages with those two corners and then you tell the safeties, okay, look for this, look for that, kind of tell them what to do, I think that might be something to watch for early on in the regular season and how this team evolves as a defense. Now, let's go to our throwback player of the day, and we're going to stick with cornerback. It's going to be Marlon Jackson. Now, Jackson was a Wolverine from 2001 2004. He was an All-American as a sophomore in 2002. Now, as a junior, they moved him to safety to help the team. But as a senior, he was named the team captain and he would move back to corner. And he had a fantastic career at Michigan. Now, he would go on to be the 29th pick in the 2005 NFL draft by the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Jackson would play corner and safety in the NFL, a very versatile piece, a very integral piece for the Colts. And an Achilles tendon tear would end his career. But Jackson would go on to have a career that included 282 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 4 interceptions, and most importantly, a Super Bowl championship win. Now, thank you for tuning into another episode of Welcome to the Big House. A special thank you to Dwight Peoples for the intro, Nino Brown for producing me, the entire CFB Nation. Until next week, who's got it better than the CFB Nation?